Hi there, my name is Kendrick, and today I have an awesome panel of individuals that is all the EP types. So we have every single EPs available out there, and I'm going to get everyone to introduce themselves, starting with Ashli. So Ashli, go for it.
Hi, my name is Ashliana. I am an FM ENFP Savior Ne-Te. Oh, and do I need to maybe do my stack order? I suppose play, consume, blast, sleep. And I will popcorn to Ian.
What's up, y'all? My name is Ian. I am a ESTP jumper. So FF, SEFE, play, consume, sleep, blast. And let's take it to Annie.
Hi, I'm Annie, ENFP, MF Ne-Fi, consume, sleep, blast, play. And I'll throw the ball to Shane.
All right, my name's Shane. I was typed by Dave in 2019 as an ESTP, consume, play, blast, sleep. And I'll pass it to Jake.
Hey, I'm Jake. I'm an ENTP, double masculine, Ne-Ti, consume, play, sleep, blast. And I will pass it on to, who hasn't gone yet? Tiana.
I'm Tiana. I'm a double feminine or ESFP, double feminine, SEFI, consume, sleep, play. Ugh, I changed it. Blast. It looks wrong.
Good.
And I'll pass it to Jany.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jany. I am an ESFP jumper, double feminine, SCTE, play, blast, consume, sleep. And I will pass it on to Jacob.
Hi, I'm Jacob, FF Ne-Fe, play, consume, sleep, blast.
All right, thanks, Jacob. So thanks for coming, guys. This is gonna be, I don't know how this is gonna turn out because we're all EPs here. So I don't know if it's gonna be chaotic or something, but we'll see what happens. So we're gonna start by getting all the EPs to ask questions, starting with Jake. So Jake, go for it, man.
All right, awesome. So this is kind of a little bit similar to Lindsay's question in the IJ interview, but I thought it was kind of a good thing maybe to go over with EPs as well. But it's kind of a three-part question, which will probably be annoying, but I'll give an example by answering it myself. But pretty much the first question is, what gives you anxiety as your type, if anything? Does that anxiety correlate at all to your last animal or function? And what visceral feeling does like that anxiety give you inside your body, essentially? So I'll answer it first. So what gives me anxiety is mostly potentially having like sensory things taken away from me out of nowhere, like money or security or things like that. I'm kind of always worried about what's any possibilities of what's going to happen to me and how that's going to affect my life, and how that correlates to I'm still kind of trying to think how it correlates to my last animal. But as far as my last function, it's masculine SI. So I think that's why I kind of fear the loss of like sensory things and different aspects like that. And as far as the visceral feeling it gives me, it's weird. It either, especially with like my blast, if I try to do anything early or finish anything before it's like due for work or whatever it is, it literally gives me nausea. Like I remember when I was trying to like finish up like finals and stuff in school, I could literally be like gagging at my desk and things like that, trying to finish up stuff early. Or also just like increased heartbeat and stuff like that. So yeah, just to go over it one more time, what gives you anxiety, if anything? How does that anxiety correlate to your last function or animal? And what visceral feeling does that anxiety give you?
All right, thanks, Jake.
If that's too much, I can limit it.
It's fine. Who wants to answer his question first? Oh man.
I can answer.
Yeah, go for it, Tiana.
So anxiety, I get a lot of anxiety that I can remember with like driving, and it's like somewhere new. and there's like a lot of things going on. So if someone's in the car with me and they're trying to have a conversation with me and like it's somewhere new and I don't know where I'm going, they're not telling me where we're going, like there's a lot of chaos, like or like on the freeway, if someone else is driving and they need to exit and they're not changing lanes yet, I'm like, are they gonna do it? Are they gonna miss it? Like, what's going on? I'm already getting anxiety right now. But I don't know how that correlates. I guess that correlates to the blast last because I'm like, do I say something? Do I not say something with the driving stuff? And then also like when someone's trying to talk to me and I'm driving, I'm like, I don't want to tell them to stop talking. Like, leave me alone. I need to focus. So that's also something that gives me anxiety. Yeah. Do I have to ask a question now or do we?
No, like other people will like answer.
Okay.
Yeah, whoever wants to answer next.
Okay.
Yeah, Annie, go for it.
So for anxiety in terms of last function, which is SI, I have it masculine and double activated, so it's pretty cool. But I live next door to my partner, and this place where I am is my office where I have a handmade business, I do coaching, and I have also a massage therapy business. And we've been living like this for over a decade, but it's a very unusual situation. I only pay $400 here, and he pays like $125. The place where we eat and sleep is like a retainer for his business. And it's great, but I just worry that the guy's gonna sell the house, like the main house where my office is. And then I don't know, I just worry about it all the time. And I really relate to the driving thing too. I can't handle chaos. I can't process that much information happening all around me. So I don't feel super comfortable driving. In terms of last animal play, I don't have a lot of tribe anxiety. It's almost like I can't even really conceptualize what play is, but I do have an anxiety about being asked to do things last minute. So responding to last minute surprises. Masculine SI plan my day out. I have a picture of what the next 3 days are going to look like, and I don't want any unexpected surprises. So.
Yeah, you're the most IJEP, I think, with that like double masculine or double activated SI. Yeah. Yep. Let's get a DE to answer this question. So all the DIs answered first. Does any Ashli or Jany, you go
ahead.
Okay. No, I was gonna say, so chaos is actually such a theme in my life personally. So I oversee a department at a major company, and it is so stressful because something that I can't get a handle of is emails. I have so many emails like all the time. Like I was out for 3 weeks last week because of a family emergency, and I accumulated over 1,000 emails. And the amount of anxiety that I feel at all times because of these emails just sitting there, I know my fear is that I'm going to miss something important. And because I didn't get to it, and then that's going to cause me to be fired. And it's very quick for me to jump to that NI conclusion. And because it's masculine, I will just obsess about it, and and then the thing is, maybe the sleep blast problem is also an issue, because maybe if I could actually sleep process and realize, I'm probably not going to get fired. It's going to be okay. But making that jump is so easy and so natural that it's very anxiety inducing for me. So yeah.
So she used the word important, and I think that's something, as she asked a question, that I've thought of too. It's like just not being able to guess, what's going to happen with something important. So and I think of terms and matters of health, and just, if I have a symptom of something, and it could be anything. So it's too much where research or narrowing down just not going to work. I'm gonna have to just go through the process of going to the doctor or whatever like that and figuring it out. Stuff like that, where I have to kind of go through this process to figure it out, rely on other people, it's in that sense, will freak me out. If it's something I can do the research and I can kind of figure out what the likely outcome is, I'm fine. But having to, I guess, in that sense of blast, going out and working with other people to figure it out for myself, that would freak me out.
Jacob, you're jumping in?
Yeah, I'm jumping in. So we were talking about anxiety with the last function, and earlier, so for me, it would be a feminine SI last, and I don't know if it's more of a feminine SI thing or a TI SI thing, but I have like, my physical things have to be in perfect order, and I like to minimalize it, like less is better. Just things that are essential functions. We were talking about the email earlier. My inbox has to be like empty. And for the emails I have to save, I have specific folders for like the category they need to go in. And if everything's not in perfect order, then I start to get anxiety. It's like I need to control it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make perfect sense. My inbox for email is also always empty because yeah, it's stress inducing. I think for Jany, I think you just need to like be consume last or something. Like you just don't read it. I'm just kidding.
Sorry. No, it's not high up there. Okay, so I'm not really good at it.
Yeah. Does Shane or Ashli want to jump in next?
Yeah, I think the last animal, the FISI, the sleep last, kind of manifests for me with the possibility of specific things going wrong that are out of my control that I can't NT problem solve. So it might be like a move, for example, when I was talking to my husband about like relocating, if we were going to do something like that, like that tends to give me a little more anxiety because there are SI steps to do that. And you have to FI figure out what the heck you want. And yeah, that gives me a lot of anxiety. And also, ironically, another thing that's kind of unrelated, I think, to my sleep last animal, at least it's not obvious to me how it's related to that, is being in a group of people and then there's a topic that comes up that's FI personal to me, and I think it's more related to it being a demon. If it's FI personal to me, that'll give me anxiety if I'm nervous about someone either stomping all over it or not agreeing with me, or it kind of feels like FE in a way, but it's not. It's just because it's feminine and it's a demon. So that also gives me anxiety. Like I literally, my body heats up and I can feel all the chemicals because of that feminine FI. Super annoying.
Yeah, I can relate to that, Ashli, because like I'm the same as you, but instead of like the heating up, I get rage, it's like, don't tell me how I live my life, all right, let's go with Shane. I know Shane, so Shane, everyone, he's having an identity crisis lately, so he thinks he's an ISTJ. But so Shane can also talk about that for sure, and then I'll tie into the next question. So go for it.
No, Shane. Nah.
All right, well, let's get started on that. We just did an MBTI instrument at our work, and that came out as my type. And I think maybe in the context of OPS, it's one of those IJ swings that Kendrick alluded to earlier. But I just don't like uncertainty. I don't like chaos. I don't like not knowing what's around the corner. If things are a mess, it stresses me out. If things are unorganized, it stresses me out. Again, I don't like surprises, not even good ones. I'm on a pretty strict diet right now. And our boss surprised us with lunch out, and that gave me stress because I was like, now I'm gonna mess up my diet, and so I didn't eat, and it was kind of weird. But so in terms of identity crisis, I feel pretty comfortable with who I am apart from the labels and the Enneagram numbers and all of that. So when I kind of put myself aside of just identifying as a certain type, your type doesn't change who you are. It's just your interpretation or description. It's like your name in a different language or something. You're still you. It's the types are more of a symbol to describe you. And when looked at that way, it's not as crisis inducing. You know, I'm still me no matter what letters I put in front of my name. But back to the original question of Jake's about how would that relate to the last animal. Dave typed me as sleep last. And, you know, I do tend to be always working, always busy, never take a day off, never call in sick. And I think that's part of the chaos inducing crisis in my life, at least. And that is anything that can disrupt my schedule is anxiety inducing for me, you know, even if it's a good surprise, you know, even if it's, hey, the boss gave everyone the day off, you can go home. It's like, hey, I still have work to do. I have these, even if they're self-induced, deadlines to meet. And I could see that being related to sleep last because, you know, we have a hard time shutting it down. I think I'll stop there.
All right, thanks, dude. Yeah, you're totally right about the labels thing. Although I do think the labels also help you to figure out where you want to, what you need to work at. So I think the sleep last thing definitely, I think for you is helpful. I'll ask my next question, but before that, I'll just talk about my own stress induced as well, since I'm, you know, fellow EP here. So I'm going on vacation next week, and for the last 2 weeks, so I submitted my passport for renewal back in March 1st, and I book a trip that's non-refundable, and if I don't show up, I have to pay, you know, $500 like for no show fee, and it was horrible. And I kept calling like the passport office here in Canada, and it takes like 5 hours to get through, which is making me like rage at the system, how bad the system is, and like I'm like, what kind of TI person invented this crap? No offense, guys. I'm just making fun of you guys. just making fun. But anyways, long story short, yesterday I got my passport with only 10 minutes left before the passport office closed, and people are crying outside the passport office, you know, because they weren't issued a passport. And for the last, you know, 3 weeks, my neck has been so stiff. I'm getting migraines. I can't sleep. My lower back hurts, my left leg is numb. So today I actually want to see an RMT to get like a full like release of my tight muscles. And then on Monday, before I leave on my trip, I'm going to see a chiropractor so they can crack everything back to place. So that's kind of my own experience with stress. Also sleep last. So I'm like, okay, I need to take care of my health. So I go see these professionals. So this is the perfect segue now, guys, to talk about your IJ swing. And I'm gonna bring it to Shane first because like he's the one that's become an IJ recently. So so all EPs become IJs, and all EPs, actually a lot of EPs don't really like chaos as much as the stereotype goes to show. Like I'm an EP, and that passport thing really messed up my plan. Like my plan is solid. I do tend to follow my plan. The only difference I have, and probably you guys have compared to the actual IJs, is that the IJs cannot pivot if, you know, if trouble comes and ruins your plan, right? Like we're EPs, we can change plans if need be, right? So so I'm gonna bring it to Shane first. But so what does your IJ swing looks like? And you're probably in it right now. Like you're probably living an IJ life right now.
Well, right. Again, you know, I was professionally typed by the MBTI representative as an ISTJ. And, you know, it's like, at what point, you know, when we use typology to introduce ourselves to others, whether it's co-workers or someone at a party, how many times do I have to qualify myself before they just go, oh, all right, whatever, dude. You know, it's, well, I'm an EP, but I don't like surprises. I'm not very spontaneous. I haven't gone out with friends in years. You know, but I'm really, if you look at the functions and you look at the animals, I really am an EP though. It's like, I don't know how many of you watch tennis, but one of the top tennis players in the world, Rafael Nadal, is naturally right-handed, but he learned from an early age to play tennis with his left hand. So he's one of the world's, I think he is the #1 or #2 ranked player right now. what do you call them? Just left-handed because it's pragmatic, it makes sense. Yeah, the dude plays left-handed. If I'm an opponent, I have to prepare for a left-handed player. Or do I go in this long drawn-out explanation that no, he's really a right-handed? Not all left-handers are natural left-hander. You know, at some point you lose the audience, you lose the purpose. And so in some ways, as irresponsible as this sounds, it's like part of me just says, yeah, if you want to know me better, I'm a workaholic. I need structure in my life. I don't like surprises. I'm not very fun. You know, do you still want to call me an EP? You know, it's like, even if I know that that's my cognitive functions and parts on a pragmatic level, you know, everyone who, for instance, at work, when I said, well, you know, I've been typed by other people as ESTP, everyone was like, you really? Okay. But here in the typology community, it's the other way around, as Ian is waiting to get out. But, you know, so that's my IJ crisis right now. And again, I know what I'm about, regardless of, you know, which way it goes. But, you know, for all intents and purposes, I could have been an IJ having an EP crisis at the time I got into all of this. And now I'm just being more back to myself. You know, like who you get to a point where you don't know which is which.
Well,
You know?
if you were in your 20s, would like.
But I'm not in my 20s. That's the thing. So knowing me in my 20s, what would you tell me? You know, here's what you need to do to make your life better. Commit to one person, quit drinking so much. None of that advice makes sense to me anymore because I don't drink. I'm not a philanderer. All the things to work on your demons, those aren't my demons. Now my demons is that I'm too rigid. I need to let loose a little more. I need to take a day off my workout, take a day off my diet. That's what would probably help me be like, relax a little more. So even the prescription, you know, like it's all twisted. So I don't want to make this panel about me. It just, you brought it up. So
Yeah.
and you start with me. So that's where I'm at. And I do want to say, I noticed in every one of you some similar traits where none of you seem to like chaos. So that made me feel a little bit better. You know, I thought I was maybe the only one. So, you know, that gives me some light at the end of the tunnel.
What's that guy who made that book, the 10X rule? I forgot his name. You know, but he's like, he's an ESTP also, I think same type as you, Shane, and he's also go and like very rigid also. So so I mean, you do whatever you want with your life essentially at the end of the day, right? So but I'm gonna pass this on to Jany, because so Jany is having like lots of issues at like her new job and stuff. So I guess you're an EP, but then you have to swing to do more IJ stuff. And how do you feel? How do you juggle like the chaos right now in your life? And like,
So I think because my saviors are SE and TE, I do have a strong grasp on skills and building my skills, and a lot of the ST stuff just comes very naturally to me. So what doesn't come so naturally to me is foreseeing the things that are going to go wrong in the future. And I've noticed that there's a part of me that knows that something is coming and just continue to ignore the problem until it hits me out of nowhere. So that's something that obviously a lot of us share, especially if we have Demon and I. But I think at work specifically, since I had mentioned that earlier, I think one of the things that I've noticed about myself is that when I realize that the chaos is getting too much, I become a micromanager. I start interfering with other people's, like, you know, people in my team. I realize, well, if I don't do it, it's not going to be right. You know, I've got to step in, because if not, you know, I can't trust somebody else to do the job right. So I start stepping in and really interfering with the workflow, and just becoming very controlling with the physical workload. And I start taking on more and more because I think that that's what I need to do. But obviously then I crash, because that's not sustainable. So that's personally how I've seen it manifest in myself with work. And it's definitely a detriment to myself. And I know that. But it's something that it's like a recurring tidal wave that I notice all the time, especially with work. And this is like unrelated to this, but just a story that I thought of. So this is like years ago, like in a prior lifetime. I was like my early 20s, like 20 years old, 19, I don't know. I had a boyfriend, so I had a relationship, and I was convinced, well, he had done a couple of things that had made me wonder, right? So I was convinced that he was cheating on me. I have demon Fi and Ni. So I was convinced he was cheating on me. Like, you could not convince me otherwise. And because my Fi is masculine, I took that like so personally. So I just became this like crazy controlling girlfriend. Like, I wanted to know where he was all the time. I wanted like a play-by-play. Like, I'm like, share your location. I mean, I was like insane. Looking back, I'm like, wow, like I don't, I would have dumped me like very quickly. But I don't do that anymore. But I had some major trust issues because I felt like, my NI had latched onto that, and I just went on a full on swing, and I was just the most controlling person ever. Yeah.
Thanks for that, Jany. I think that's so real too. Like a lot of people do have that swing that you just explained, especially with your relationship, where the EP partner does become controlling because of suspicions. And then also, I want to get Jacob or Jake to answer this question next, because Jany was talking about not being able to foresee what's going to happen, but Jacob and Jake, you guys both have NE, so you guys can see what's happening in the future. And then you're both so Jany said that she would crash in the end, right? So you guys you're both energy dominant, right? So and it's, your sleep is also SITI, so you know the steps that you need to do for yourself. Once you know what that chaos is, what to do to avert that chaos and also to preserve your energy. So who wants to jump in first, Jacob or Jake?
I can jump in.
Go for it, man.
So chaos. Wait, too much going on in here. Just consume, play, overload. What's it called? Jake, you want to go? Blast.
Sure. And first, I'd just like to mention that I think statistically, if your name is Jake or Jacob, you have like a 50% chance of being an ENTP at this point. So that's a good statistical metric to know. But but yeah, as far as I honestly thought I was an IJ at first, because the whole I'm super confident and definitely not seeing myself backwards and then seeing myself completely backwards. So the reason I thought that is because using my NE TI consume on crack, you see, like, you get obsessed with trying to see everything that could potentially happen go wrong as far as life. And in work, I do a lot of data QC and stuff like that, and just spending a ton of nearly unnecessary time looking at it. And then somehow the one any concept you don't see is the one that ends up destroying your life. So it really doesn't matter. But I'd say, as far as, I definitely plan a lot, I definitely try to see the potential of things that can go wrong. And generally it doesn't matter because something's going to go wrong anyways. But it is just like an obsession with it. And I'm sure it does block a lot of bad things from happening. But yeah, at the end of the day, no matter how much you try to look at the chaos of the world, you can't control all of it and see all the potential things that can happen.
Back to me.
Yes, sir.
Sorry about that. So I can see Jake is double masculine and I'm double feminine. But with me in control, what's it called? So I feel like I try to control as much as I can. I don't know why, but it's just control. But when the control falls apart, it's like I get excited. Like, oh, I can break the routine. Oh, it's falling apart. Oh, I can look at what I need to fix, what's essential in the moment to fix what's going on. And that's where I can see the chaos junkie part of me. Like, yeah, I'm causing problems for others, or when everybody else is panicking, I'm embracing the panic and just going straight to the problem solving. And I think that's where the NE really thrives, of finding what's essential.
Yeah, I can relate to what you said, Jacob. Like when things hit the fan, it's like almost exciting. Like I'm like, ooh, I wonder how I can fix this problem, with whatever I have left, right? Jacob, you want to say something?
Yeah, so I'm probably, it seems like something someone else said, and I'm probably regurgitating it and taking ownership of it. But as far as it seems like a lot of the world leaders and people like at the top, like the business spectrum and things like that, tend to be EPs, which doesn't really seem to tend to correlate to chaos very much. But I think the thing about being an EP is the best way to have freedom is to control everybody else. So the desire to have freedom, it's like if you're controlling everybody else and no one can control you anymore, congratulations, you have freedom. So it's almost using everyone else's powers against them, I think is why a lot of them rise to the top as far as that's concerned. But I'm pretty sure I heard that somewhere else, but if not, that's totally my idea.
Facts.
That's just maybe your fantasy, Jake. We should call you Chairman Jake now. Just kidding.
I already do. It's fine.
Yeah. Tiana and Ian, do you guys want to jump into this about your NI? Tiana, I think you were talking already, so go for it.
Sure. So yeah, I feel like I do come off really controlling a lot of the time, especially when the anxiety kicks in, because it's like, okay, what am I supposed to do? Like everyone's forcing me to do this. So, and I, because it's in a demon state, you get really angry and you're like, why are you making me do this? Like, if you just did your job or like did whatever you had to do, like I wouldn't have to get like this. So like, yeah, it's pretty frustrating to like be like that. And I don't like being like that a lot of the time. So I try to like do it in like little bits by like trying to think of the worst possible situation and saying, okay, what can I prepare for this? Like, okay, that's probably going to go wrong. So here's my second plan. And a lot of people describe me as like really, I guess, methodical or like thoughtful and stuff, but maybe it's the consume sleep. So I'm not sure if I even answered the question, but yeah, there you go.
It's all good. Ian, you want to jump in, man?
I kind of see myself as like the EP energy when it comes to me. When it comes to other people, then I'm more of have the IJ energy. I think just having the sleep in the blast, especially blast last, it's like in order for me to like really like see something through to the end, I need people to like be tied to other people, right? If somebody else is tied to the outcome, then I'm going to like be very, very thorough. If it's just me, I can kind of like just see myself through and shortcut and whatever. So when I'm on a hook for someone else, then it becomes more about making sure all of the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, and just seeing like all of the sensory through and checking it. And that's where I could become more IJ, especially if I have other people that I'm relying on and I need them to check in. I need to know everything that they're doing, and just seeing it all the way through. As long as there's someone else that I'm obligated to, I will be that way. But if it's just me, I really could care less.
Right, that makes sense. Can we go with Annie? Annie's pretty much an IJ already. She's like, yeah, no, but yeah, go for it.
Yeah, thinking about that. I related a lot to stuff that Shane said. A lot of times when I'm interacting, especially like in the basic MBTI groups, people are like, no way, no, you're an ISTJ. Like, you're so lame, you're so boring, you're so like rules. Like, why are you such a rule follower? They just don't believe that I'm an EP. But when I zoom out, I see like a real overgathering problem. So I can be really disciplined about certain things like food and diet, but then those also go through seasons. Like, sometimes I wasn't very disciplined about diet during the pandemic because my partner told me I needed to eat carbs because he bought like 50 pounds of rice because he said a pandemic was coming. He was like, you have to eat carbs because I bought all this rice. So I gained some weight. I wasn't as disciplined, but it's like, I'll get fixated and very, very IJ like in certain areas, and people think I'm freakishly disciplined, but then I'm over gathering. So I feel like I'm not disciplined enough, because every day I would like to sew. I would like to make myself a dress, play guitar, do some belly dancing, do some coaching, work on my handmade business, just all these things that I do. And there just literally isn't enough time. It's not that I'm not disciplined enough. So I'll be consistent with one thing for like a month, and then it falls apart because I'm, neglecting guitar or some other thing. And I'm trying to, I guess when I feel really freaked out and demony, like people have, their last animal tidal waves, I feel like I consume horror, just a horror that I am trying to do too many things in my life and I can't do them all. And so I'm not successful in any one area. I'm really IJ, like ISTJ about traffic laws. Like, I just don't understand why everybody just doesn't use their turn signals. Like, because it's like just a good way to communicate with your friends and neighbors. Like, just tell us what you're going to do, like, what's the big deal? And then I had an episode with the Oregon Board of Massage Therapists when I was trying to renew my license, and I felt so controlled, and they were messing up the system, and it was totally wrong, and a whole bunch of people were getting screwed over. And when I'm like in that and I feel really controlled, I get like maniacally ST. And my retaliation is to write emails, and I will quadruple check them to make sure there are absolutely no mistakes, because these people who are trying to control me have made mistakes, and that is not okay. So I'll just like outline it and explain to them why this is absolutely not okay, with like no mistakes, perfectly clear logic. And that's my retaliation. So yeah, I get kind of crazy.
Yeah, I totally relate with that, the traffic one too, like that SI in the bottom. I get like I become like a traffic Nazi, like sometimes like people are like turning right. I mean, like they're not following the traffic rules and stuff. Probably someone with extrovert sensing, no offense to you guys. I'm just and then I'll like open my window and then I'll like cuss them out. I'm like, F you.
Yeah.
Don't you see the sign there? You idiot. So it's yeah, I totally get where you're coming from when it comes to that. Ashli, IJ swing.
I'm super glad I'm going last. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I never thought I was an IJ. Not one time. I don't like to control people. I don't want to control people. I like to tell people what to do, but I don't want to control them. I actually more relate to like being an EPEJ. To be honest with you, I feel like I felt more, the reason why I was a little bit having a hard time typing myself isn't because I don't know myself. It's because I'm DE and I'm Ne-Te and I'm sleep last. So I'm so people focused that like, I just don't relate to the IJ naturally controlling people. Now, my husband has told me I'm controlling at times, and I think I am when it comes to, but it has more to do with sleep last. It doesn't necessarily have to do with an IJ thing. It has to do with like, I have 20 things on my list to do, and I shouldn't have put 20 things on there. I should have put 10 things on there, but now you've got to help me because I overconsumed and overcommitted. And now I'm being controlling because of my stupid sleep last animal. So that's kind of where that plays out for me. I don't really feel like I have as much of an IJ swing as an EJ swing personally.
All right, well, we'll have to explore that later on, because there's a lot of sleep last people here that is like gonna, especially like, well, me and Jany or play blast also. So, and Jacob's also an EJ, and Ian, of course. So who wants to ask the next question? So I think Jake or yeah, Annie, go for it.
Yeah, I just want to ask other people about the overgathering issue. If you experience that, and what do you do? One of the things that I've tried a little bit is thinking about things in seasons. Like right now I'm finishing a coach training certification. And so I'm kind of telling myself, like, you don't have to narrow down for the rest of your life, but that has to be the priority for the next 2 months until that's done. But it's still really hard for me because like I jump around to different activities. And so I read this book, Essentialism, and that was one of the tips that was in there is like, you don't have to narrow down completely, but like if you want to write a novel, like maybe just focus on that for a quarter or a year or however long it takes, and then you can move on. So I just wonder if other people have solutions for that.
Yeah, I'll jump in. My over consuming would be in terms of purchasing items, shopaholic. If I'm getting a new mug, do I want white or black? I can't make up my mind. I don't do good with choices, so I'll get both. Then next thing you know, I don't have enough room in the cupboard for all my mugs, so then I have to just get rid of them all because too much stuff makes me uncomfortable. So then I do that with clothes, shoes, any kind of gadgets or items. And then I just go through like a spring cleaning every now and again, just to get down to the bare minimum. I think it was, it's similar to what Jacob was saying about wanting to just be just the less is more kind of thing, and so like I can't make up my mind, so I get overgather, and then that makes me sick. A good analogy, a real life analogy would be with color. Like I'll redecorate my office because my environment's really important to me. If I don't like my environment, I won't be as effective at work. So everything has to be exactly right. And the color red, for instance, is a real interesting color. My office is all black and white, but then I get a little splash of red, then a little more. And yeah, I like that. Then it has the same effect as too much sugar in your coffee or something. I'm just like, ugh, I gotta get rid of all this. I just throw all the red out, and I'm like, okay, nice and plain again. Okay, now I can relax. So that's how it comes out in me.
Let me go.
Yeah, go for it, Jacob. Go for it.
All right. So overgathering, right? I'm doing it right now. I had it earlier. Basically, there's like 8 of you here. Every time you guys say a sentence, I'm Ne-Fi. I'm gathering like your values. Every time you say a sentence, I have something to reply to it, but I'm just building it up. And by the time I try to blast, I'm like vomiting. What do I need to say that matters? Because I know I'm super capable of like over-wrecking the conversation, just like spilling paragraphs of words out of what everybody's saying in a reply of what I'm seeing the patterns. I can't make it stop, and it's just overwhelming. And it's not physical. It's all abstract values of everybody, building on it, trying to understand what's the motive behind every sentence. I could explain it to you or throw an explanation to you about why you're like that, but we don't got time for that.
You're also double activated consume, so it's you have no breaks at all for that, so it's even harder. I want to ask a question later based on what Shane said, because there's something very interesting in what he said about like the mug stuff. But anyways, I want to go back to so who wants to answer this question next? Does anyone want to jump in?
All I want to say is I definitely want to figure out how to stop over consuming. That's all I'm going to say. I relate to the seasons aspect to like put it into, especially being visual, like put it in a visual picture. Like this is a season of time, a period of time that I'm going to block something out. I think for me being sleep last and trying to decide what I like. I watched a different video that Dave and Shan highlighted. It was similar to this kind of a setup. And they were just talking about being, especially, I think it was ENFP, you actually are genuinely interested in so many things. Like you said, Annie, you're like, I want to do guitar and I want to do my business and I want to do all this stuff. And it's like, you actually genuinely probably I want to do that. That's the problem. It's like narrowing it down to like, not just what I'm really interested in, but what I genuinely like, what's my passion, like what fills my cup. And that is probably the hardest thing to do as definitely a play consume, but as an EP in general. when you're ENFP on top of it. So if I could figure that out, that'd be great. I'm gonna have to somehow harness that FI.
Yeah, I can relate to what you said there, Ashley, and also with like Annie about like having multiple interests, because like, you know, with NE people, you know, NE people like to say the word interesting because everything is interesting. So I can definitely relate to that. Like for me, I have a travel blog, I have a travel YouTube channel, I have ENFP Mail, and then on my day job, I'm a personal trainer, right? So like, and I teach like even with like fitness, I have like a different variety. I teach spin, you know, I teach seniors, I do personal training. And I purposely picked personality and travel because those categories you get to gather in those categories. And then but the kicker in my opinion is like you need to blast, you need to like blast, because otherwise you can't just gather, you have to blast and gather. Otherwise otherwise you didn't really gather anything. Like the things that made me feel the best is like looking back at my old blog posts and reading them, or like I make like what do you call that? Like I make a scrapbook for my girlfriend with all our travel pictures and stuff. Like that to me, like yeah, she's right here. So like that to me, like whenever time I look through it, like that means a lot to me. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm so glad I hated putting this together, but then now that it's finished, I'm like, oh yes, you know. So yeah. Who wants to go next with this one?
I'll go.
Go for it.
So I kind of piggybacking off what you just said about needing to blast when you're over gathering. So I can totally relate to what everyone else has said about over gathering with like hobbies and interests. So I too want to do everything. You know, I'm interested in reading and blogging and fashion and home decor. And if you let me, I'll start lots of things. I just will never finish them because I'll lose interest very, very quickly. My interest will last like maybe tops like a month, and then I'm gone to the next one. But what I do is I do blast about everything that I'm interested in. So if I'm going to consume or overgather, for example, when I started learning about objective personality, I would not shut up about it. So I was telling everybody about it, and they're like, okay, this is kind of creepy, you know, like, cause it's so granular that they were kind of like, oh, okay, I'm not ready to receive this information, but I couldn't stop myself. It's like this urge that I cannot control I need to teach this to other people. Like, you just need to know. So I guess like for me, I noticed that I overgather for the purpose of blasting. And once I've blasted long enough, I'm like, okay, next hobby, I'm going to go like conquer the next thing, which I really never conquer because I never do it long enough to master anything, you know, but that's kind of how I relate to that.
All right. Who hasn't gone yet?
So
I haven't gone yet. Oh, go ahead, Ian.
So I was going to say, like the consuming piece is not necessarily doing a bunch of new things, but just keeping the options open in a sense, in the event that something changes. So, and I take this for work. I'll know what I need to do. I'll be able to, like, if somebody gives me a problem, I'll know what the answer is or what I need to do. But I want to keep my options open just in case something changes, new data, or I just don't want to narrow until I need to narrow, right until it's closed. It's just keeping it open just because. And again, tying myself to someone or a date or something to close it down, because if it's up to me, it'll stay open as long as possible until, you know, we said it's done, and which can lead to other problems because you'll forget. You have to, you know, I'm feminine sensory, so I have to start all over. I have to look at this stuff again and remember what I did. So it's just this tendency just to, okay, I'm guessing, I'll narrow down, I'm done, but it's just I don't feel like there could be just a possibility of something else, and I want to be able to receive it and to be receptive to it. So until I get comfortable just saying we're done and being able to close it and to move on, that'll be a problem. But because I'm working for myself and I set my own deadlines in a lot of ways, that probably will never happen, because I just want to have the ability to change it if I need to, if it comes up.
I noticed that a lot of blast like to do what you're describing, Ian, which is like keep your options open, and you can't commit to something because something better might come up. So, it's like, you don't want to close that door, because something better might show up, who else hasn't answered it? Is it Jake? It's just Jake?
Yeah, it might just be me. I'm not sure.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Well, as far as consume, it's kind of, even though it's my lead animal, it's a little bit frustrating for me because it's double feminine. So I feel like I'm consuming a lot of things such as like personality, and whether it's sports, whether it's things to do with work, like it seems like it's a million different skip things, but I can remember none of it, which is kind of a blessing and a curse because everything stays entertaining and almost new because I will reconsume and reconsume, be like, oh, this seems like a new concept. So kind of similar to Jany, except I don't really lose interest because I don't remember anything. So I feel like my lead consume is pretty useless unless I somehow manage to function and use my masculine SI to actually organize it like in physical space, whether it's to write it down or something like that. Like if you notice, like I'm writing down in a notebook right now, or else I'm gonna forget everything anybody says because that's the only way it's gonna stick inside my brain. So it's kind of a frustrating function of being, I mean, I see myself as well balanced because I have feminine saviors and masculine demons, but you also have to have a pretty delicate dance between the two, or they can both be fairly useless. And to kind of comment on Jacob's ideas, it seems like he was saying a lot about commenting on people's values and things like that, where I'm trying to just stack the logic for myself. And once I come to a stacked logic conclusion, then I want to communicate it. Whereas he kind of seems more like he wants to do it a little bit more on the spot. So that's interesting to see. And also he has masculine Ne and Ti, so I'm super jealous.
Thanks, man.
All right, so I want to ask you guys a question between being info dominant versus energy dominant as an EP. Okay, I want to tie this into what Shane and Jany said earlier for the info dominant part, and maybe Annie can also chime in. So earlier, Shane said that he's very indecisive when it comes to shopping, and he'll get like 2 colors because he likes both of them and he doesn't know which one to pick, right? Or he'll paint his office like red and he'll throw it away, right? And then the first thing that popped in my mind is, like you spend all your energy being sleep last to earn that money, only for it to fly away when you got rid of all those stuff, right? So basically the energy that you expended to work and earn the money to buy all those stuff as a shopaholic flew away, like it's gone, right? So in a way, like your effort, I mean, you still got better at your job, so it's not completely like a wasted effort. But in terms of like, you can answer me in a bit, okay? Just let me just finish. And then but that's the physical stuff that you've purchased with your money, the effort that went into getting that the money for it disappeared, like it's gone. It's like you almost like it almost canceled each other out, right? And the only thing left for you is like you wasted your energy essentially, right? Because you burnt out your energy to work to make that money to go buy those stuff. And then just mold that for a second, Shane, and then I'm gonna go to Jany. So Jany's at the start, she said she has all these problems at work because she didn't think things through with like that planning, right? Like the NI-FI. Or maybe it's also like your sleep is NF, so maybe it goes even deeper than that you didn't even consider, which is like what is the point of your existence, of your life, right? And then because of that point, how did you end up in your job right now? And is that really where you want to be? Like, oh, hopefully your employers are not watching this, and is that really where you want to be, right? So it's like the sleep last problem, right? And then I'm pretty sure that Ashli and Annie will have something similar. Annie is play last though, so I'm kind of curious to hear your play last version. As for Ian, Jacob, and Jake, you guys are all blast last, right? So you guys are good at managing your energy, but with the blast last thing, like you've gathered all this stuff, and like Dave said, the blast lasters are geniuses because like they have all the stuff they've gathered. It's just like it just somehow it's stuck. It just won't come out, right? There's something wrong with the flow of information. So I don't know what you guys have to say about that. But why don't we pass it to Shane first, and then go to Jany, and then yeah, go from there.
Okay, I would say first that I was the only one out of the group that mentioned physical items. I think most people were talking about concepts and information. That doesn't mean that it's not there for them in their own way, but I don't see it completely as a spinning my wheels waste of time and money, because it's getting me towards a goal of what I want. You know, coming back to the beginning, I don't do well with a lot of choices. And so I'll pick two, and one ends up getting thrown out, but that gets me closer to a level of maintenance where I feel at peace and harmony with everything, and then I can relax, and then I'm not spinning my wheels, as you say, anymore. So I think that is where the consuming and the sleep last and all that kind of comes together, because even if sleep is last, it's just we're taking the long way around the track, but we're getting to the result in our own way. Like for me, maybe I have to waste $500 before I get my office the way I like it. But once I got it there, I'm set. And you know, I'll stay at the same office, the same job, same car, same everything for a really long time. It takes me a while to find it. And then once I do, it's locked in.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, man. I think that's like the power of SE right there. Like I never even thought about that, but that's a really good point. Jany, you want to hop in this next one?
Yes. So I guess, so when I was originally typed back in 2020 by Dave, and he told me that I was like on that last row, I was in a little bit in denial, because, you know, they would always refer to that row as like the crack, like you're on crack and you're like, you need to be chilled out. And I didn't identify that in myself. I'm like, no, I'm like a totally normal person. But in reality, if I actually look at my patterns, you know, I do overcommit. That info dominant part of me, that sleep last part of me really does overcommit and tries to overdo everything. So I don't ask myself, like you mentioned earlier, because my NI and my FI are, you know, demons. I don't actually ask myself if it matters. Like, do I even like this? Like, does it matter? Is it at the end of the day, is this something that is really worth this much effort? Like, I don't sleep, I work on weekends, you know, my workload is just so ridiculous. And I don't think I ask myself those questions enough. I don't really process that enough. So in my own life, like I've seen the issue of that NF sleep just not being activated enough in myself, and then having to take time to really process that and really realize that, you know, do I care about this? And if I don't, then maybe I have to throw it away and come up with, you know, there's other things out there, you know, besides working, you know, endless hours. But I don't really ask myself that enough until I burn out. And then when I burn out and I crash, that's really when I'm like, okay, you know what, at the end of the day, this doesn't really matter. It's just a job. But I don't really get there until I crash.
Yeah, that's super interesting with the NF sleep. Tiana has it in a savior state, so it might be good for her to chime in about that in a bit. Ashli?
Yeah, no, I think with the info dominant thing, something that kind of has popped up versus like energy dom is I was thinking about how it actually gives me kind of tying to our first question too, a little anxiety to narrow down in my life and to even pick something that I FI love, because what if I'm wrong? So I don't know if that's info dominant, if that's TE, if that's EP, if that's all of the above. So I feel like that's part of it too. I'm trying to think relating to, tell me what we were specifically, the specific question was again.
Well, basically with the sleep last, you're burning your energy, and for what, you know?
Okay. So yes. And so, I'll oftentimes being DE, it's for people. And so then I justify it. I can justify it because I'm killing myself for others. See, so that's a good thing. I'm a good person because I'm taking on all this responsibility and I'm taking care of this person and that person. And these are all people that I'm responsible for. So if I didn't do it, nobody else would. And so for me, more so than the necessarily monetarily, or like you said, he was talking about physical items, Shane was, it's more like, oh, well, I have to do this, right? It's like not even a question because of my like my savior DE. And so that can be really challenging because then all I'm doing is enabling people to be either victims or lazy or not to do things for themselves. And so what I need to do is I need to, if I'm going to take people on something that I've discovered, especially like with my kids and even other adults in my life, is no, I need to train them to do what I'm doing. If I can become a master delegator, then I can actually do more DE, but I can do it in a healthy way. And I can do it in a way that empowers other people. And then I can build something, right? Then I can do that like third blast function. So that's how that's manifesting for me. But I will say clothes are a problem. I have gotten better at not shopping for clothes all the time, but that is my physical, like, stop consuming.
All right. You know what? This is a good segue for the blast laster because Ashli was talking about delegation, and delegating can potentially reduce your energy consumption because someone else will do it for you. But you know, Jake, Tiana, and Jacob and Ian, you guys all have blast last. So I don't know if you guys will ever delegate, but I'm curious to hear what how you guys do your energy dominant thing as an EP. How does it serve you and how does it like screw you up essentially?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go because I haven't talked in a while, but I guess relating it to what you guys are talking about, that missing blast, like you said before, we have like all of this knowledge inside, but it's in a way it's kind of going to waste when nobody knows what's going on, like in our heads. So I feel like a master of systems, and I do great with systems if I'm left to do it by myself. But other people might be struggling, and like if I don't tell them that, you know, here's this like that you can do to improve, or like, you know, I noticed that you're doing this and it's not working out, like here's a tip, you know, stuff like that. Or like you said with delegation, that's a really big issue in my life right now. Like asking for help, because like I have a newborn, well, she's not newborn anymore, she's 1, but asking for help because I'm by myself at home most of the time, I have to reach out and like ask the people in my congregation or like my family, like the few family members that are around, asking them to like watch her instead of just, you know, saying, oh, I got it, it's fine. And then like throughout the day, I'm like losing my mind. So that's how my blast comes off, I think. I'm wasting like all of the stuff that's going on in my head because no one knows about it. And also I'm losing my mind because there's a lot going into my head and like no one knows about it. So there's that.
Yeah, thanks, Tiana. That's a good blast. All right, Jake, Ian.
I can go ahead. So yeah, I'm terrible at delegating work, especially at my job, for sure. I think it has a lot to do with blast. I think is also kind of correlated with perfectionism. And a lot of my job is essentially creating processes to basically like populate and QC data and different stuff like that. And if I want someone to help with me, I need to know that they're competent enough or they have a good enough workflow to essentially not screw up what's going on. So even when I have somebody help, like I almost spend as much time if I just do it myself, setting up a process for them to follow to do it anyways, because probably neurotically, I just don't trust that they're going to do it right, even though I'm sure they do just fine by themselves. So that's that's kind of how my blast last correlates to that. It might also have a lot to do with like my SITI sleep, which is basically like, let me just do the ST, figure out how to do this stuff by myself, and I'll delegate if it's possible later on.
Jacob.
Yeah. So balancing the energy with but not being able to control the tribe. So if I'm trying to control the tribe, I just rather do it myself. I can't expect the tribe. I feel like if I was to give them burden of responsibility, I don't want to give people the burden of responsibility. I know it's easier for myself. It'll take more time to follow up with their work, because I feel like if I follow up with their work, I'm just going to be disappointed. Just do it on my own. It's like whatever needs to get done for myself. Like, why am I asking for help? I don't need help. But then the other flip side of that is I want to play with everybody. I want to do the FE. So it's weird. I can't delegate. I have to be the one responsible for myself. I won't ask for help. And I don't see myself in situations where I need help so often. But I don't know, it's just impossible to control people, like wanting to control people.
Yeah, you're also like the way you say it too is kind of interesting. It sounds like very like it's like very like you sound very weird about it, like the whole idea of controlling people. You know, obviously last. What about you, Ian? I saw you nodding a lot, so maybe you resonate to a lot of like what Jacob has to say.
Yeah, because it's like you're DE, but then you also have double activated masculine DI. So it's like I am like I'm cognizant of the tribe, but it's like I feel like I can't control them, I can't move them. But then I have confidence in myself. And it's so all these, and then you don't want to control people, you want to kind of do your own thing. So it's all these like feelings kind of like coming in at the same time, where you just end up just trying to do things yourself. And you get to a point where you recognize you need other people, you need help, but then it's like, okay, it's too late. Like energy, it's like I've kind of started down this path, and it'd be kind of weird for me to pull somebody in this far down the lane because I should have involved them earlier. And then you kind of feel bad, so you're like, I got to double, go in double mode and just try to get it done by giving more effort. And it doesn't always end well. So it's just this weird thing of just sometimes recognizing that, or catching yourself and saying, okay, you've been down this path before, how this ends, you should pull people in earlier. And it has to be done at that moment. If it doesn't happen at that moment, you kind of go down this path, and then you're repeating the same mistakes over and over again. So when it comes to like the energy thing, for me, I kind of see it in a lot of ways, and just it's like, okay, does it feel right to involve other people at this moment, or should it's like what feels right in terms of just the flow? Should it be just me, or should I bring people in? And there's certain junctures that right or wrong, that I feel like where I can involve people, and others where I just feel like I have to do this on my own. So it's definitely on me. I recognize it on me.
Last one is Annie. Annie's the odd one here with the play last, because like everyone here is kind of blast last or sleep last. So what's going on with you there, Annie?
In terms of energy versus info?
Well, yours is interesting because you're play last, so you don't have, according to the definitions, you don't have much energy to expend for the tribe, right? But just because you're play last doesn't mean you don't have energy for yourself. So that I think that's like where people get confused, because a lot of play last people work a lot. So, but you're still not energy dominant, so you're still leaking energy out compared to like the true energy dominant. So like, yeah, you're like a strange.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so because I have sleep second, I'm definitely putting on the brakes and aware of my energy versus resting. I related to what some people said about what Shane said about like over gathering things, but it's usually like a TE, like I'm over gathering things that I want to work I want it to work, and I might have to cycle through a whole bunch of stuff. I'm not good with money. So if we're looking at money in terms of energy, yeah, I will just be very impractical and spend money on something that I think is going to work and make my situation better or the system run better. And then like, no, that didn't work. So it just takes me a long time, but I'm 45 years old. So I have a lot of my systems worked out, but I spent a lot of money in the trial and error of getting there. And I'm not comfortable with, like, when I wake up in the morning, I'm a morning person and I am going to do something today. I'm going to accomplish something. Like my partner, I'll ask him, what are you going to do today? And he's like, oh, I don't know. I don't really know. I check back with him at like 2 p.m. He's laying in the hammock. So what are you going to do today? Oh, I don't know. And like, that's just how he does it. I am not comfortable with that. I would like to get things done and I know what I'm going to do. So I have a hard time conceptualizing the energy versus info in myself and what exactly I'm doing, because I feel kind of balanced, but I also like to get stuff done. But when I think about that and I think about energy DOMs, I think it's more of like a play thing. When people get together and they're really playful and they're like, let's have a pillow fight, you know, I'm like, no, I would like to have an interesting conversation. Like I want to talk about concepts and meaningful things. I don't want to have a pillow fight. I don't want to throw water balloons, like just not into it. So that's what it makes me think of.
Ian's gonna beat everyone in a pillow fight. Yeah, go ahead, Shane.
I just wanted to jump in there and piggyback off what Annie said. You know, I like to have fun in my own way, like everyone else, but I can't engage in horseplay or stupid games, or let's stop what we're doing so we can all sing happy birthday to someone. You know, it's like, let me get my stuff done first. If I'm at home, I want to get my chores done. If I'm at work, I need to finish my files, finish what I'm doing. I don't have time for just stupid stuff. I don't want to deal with it ever. And I've always been like that, like to T, like, yeah, I'm not trying to claim play last or anything, but definitely I'm not into that. So I can totally relate to what Annie's saying there. That's all.
It sounds like an info thing, because like for me, I also don't like that. Like if I'm gonna play with the tribe, I have to schedule it in. Like, okay, this is the time to goof around, and there's like a time frame, you know. Like there's like it's scheduled. Like I do like to do that play stuff, but it has to be within a scheduled frame. Like, you know, it's like a birthday party. Okay, I know that's like the time to do that, right? But if I'm working and stuff, no, not gonna throw water balloon in your face, you know.
So just to comment on that a little bit, as an energy dominant, I can definitely see that I'm different than that, because I have to make sure the mood is good first, and then we can talk about the information. But essentially, unless I feel like the vibe is good, it's like whenever I'm sending an email, I always try to be super cordial before I like greet them, like, oh, hey, how are you doing? How's this and that? It's like, okay, then we can talk about the information. And yeah, I'm definitely a goofball and have no problem messing around and forget about even what we're trying to do at certain times. So yeah, you guys seem much more effective at communication management with information than I do, for sure.
Oh yeah, no, I would definitely be annoyed at that, like the pleasantries first before we like get to work. I'm like, oh God, stop.
I just can't not do it, or else it's painful. It's really weird. I have to make sure everybody's cool first, and then we can talk about stuff.
I just have to jump in and say, you know, I jump right in at sometimes inopportune times with information that I think is important. Someone can be busy doing something and I'll come in and say, hey, so-and-so is locked out of their apartment and there's no key on the tracker. We need help right now. Like, and no pleasantries, no hi, how's it going? No, nothing, just straight. And I think sometimes that's seen as abrasive by, you know, my coworkers, other people. So maybe you err, Jake, too much on this side of like making sure it's okay first, whereas I don't do that enough. I think if I soften the blow a little bit, hey everyone, I just wanted to let you know, but no, it's just like straight to business all the time. And I think I could do a better job of that.
Yeah.
It's almost like an authenticity thing. Like sometimes when I'm talking to people and try to be super cordial, like they don't like it because they assume I'm just BSing them. And then other people, when I do that, they enjoy that. And I'm sure when you go up to people and just tell them the direct problem, it's like, thank you for not wasting my time with the stupid kind of play or energy stuff first. We're just trying to get this done and then we can worry about that stuff later. So it's interesting. I mean, I'm sure it's no shock that people appreciate one style more than the other, but I think probably one of the good things about personality is just understanding that doesn't make one person a good or a bad person because they like one style over the other. It's just a different preference on things.
Yeah, you have a good point there. So there's like a time and place for both. And then it sounds like the lesson here is don't party with the info dominant. They're gonna ruin the vibe. Anyways, I want to get Tiana to ask her question because she's gonna switch to her cell phone soon. So let's get Tiana to ask her question to the EPs.
A question that I came up with, but I don't know if I have an answer myself, is where can you double observe well? Because, you know, there's the idea that because we're single observers, you know, we're like super freaking out about like things or like ideas or chaos or whatever. But, you know, that doesn't mean we can't double observe in certain areas. So I guess for me, where I double observe relatively okay is, yeah, I can't think of it. So someone else can.
Nice. That's good.
I'll go. So my partner is a double observer, and I've learned a lot about keeping my chill when there's like a computer issue or a printer issue from him. I want to be more like him, but more often than not, I'll just go get him and tell him I need help and he bails me out. But where I do double observe well, I think it's because it's in my FI, is in ceramics and other art forms. Sewing is incredibly frustrating, you know, making a dress, and I might get into a little tricky spot, but then in those moments, somehow I rise to the occasion and I have this identity as an excellent problem solver. Like, no, I can figure this out. I'm an excellent problem solver for some reason, just like in art, ceramics and sewing. And I think it's just because it's so much in my FI that's where I do it. But if it's computer stuff, no, I ask for help. Yeah.
What about the ENTPs? How do you guys double observe, or how do you not double observe?
How I don't double observe. I think, especially because we're blast and we're consuming all these things, what I don't do, what I want to do, I want to like write. I think what the IJs, especially the NIs, can really do well is just organize their feelings and thoughts or topics and just write I channel change way too much. And I feel like if I was able to write without channel changing, I'd be double observing like a boss, but I channel change way too much.
Yeah. This whole interview has been one big channel changing. Like, when I did the IJ one, we stayed on like the same topic for like 1 hour. I'm like, come on, someone change the channel. Oh my God. Like we've been in this freaking topic now. But anyways, I don't want to rant. Jake, take it, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have a lot to say on this one, but yeah, it's as far as having, I guess, just to go back, like, yeah, it's hard to double observe and stuff. And I definitely think there's a big old evil observer God in the sky that tortures me my entire life. So it's kind of hard to specify like a specific time that happens. I can talk about double deciding all day, but yeah, I guess just to save time and last mumbleness, I'll just leave it there.
Jany, you have Savior Blast, so it sounds like maybe if someone here can double observe, it would probably be you, because like you know you're a gatherer, and then you can blast, so you can do something with that stuff that you gathered. I mean, supposedly, I don't know if that's true or not.
So yeah, I feel kind of the same as Jake on this one. I don't feel like I have a whole lot to input, but I will say So my husband is a ENFP. He's a demon SI and he's blast last. So I understand the blast last. I'm around it all the time and it drives me crazy. I'm like, can you just finish, like get it out? Like, look, we have time, like we gotta go. But he has demon SI. And I guess in a way where I can kind of see how I can sometimes double observe is when I'm seeing him have an SI like freak out about something. And for me, it's very like, it's not a threat. I don't feel threatened by, your workplace telling you that you have to wear pink today. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It's a very small problem, but he really doesn't like when the physical world is being controlled, like very much like anybody that has demon SI. So I'll see him, really panic and start going down like a conspiracy theory, rabbit hole. And for me, it's very easy to see like you're totally over analyzing this, like it's not that deep. So in that sense, I can really see the demon SI struggle sometimes, and it's easy for me to really look at the big picture. But personally for me, my demon and I is like really, really demon. Like I have to really dive very deep to even know what I want, or, what I want to do with my life, or, like it's very difficult for me to get there, but it's easy for me to see, other people's demons sometimes.
Yeah, it sounds like you have more decider problems than.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
We can touch on that later. And then you
Yeah.
kind of describe your husband as an IJ, by the way, just in the description.
No, so he actually got typed.
Really?
Yeah. So he's definitely EP, but yeah, he has some major demon SI problems.
Oh, that's not that common pairing, eh? ESFP and ENFP. You don't see that often. That's interesting. What about Shane? Shane, you have blast at third, so technically you can do some double observing. Do you feel like it's there? It's just like slower?
I don't know how accurate this will be in terms of strictly double observing, but I think I have a good sense of being able to separate my opinion or preference from facts. In other words, if I make a choice that's a little off or not quite appropriate, I know. I can, say I'm rooting for a sports team, but I have no problem saying, well, I want team A to win, but I think they're weak in these areas. So I bet that team B will win, even though I want team A to win. I think a lot of people I know, regardless of their type, their heart and brain naturally go together. They can't make a distinction between who they voted for and seeing every issue decided towards that result. If use an example, if Donald Trump says that 2 + 2 = 4, is it true? A lot of people will struggle with answering that. They'll be like, oh, well, he would never say that. Or, I can say, yeah, I don't like Trump either, but if he says that, he's right. I think a lot of people have a hard time separating their heart from their head. I don't care who you are, facts are facts, and the facts don't care about your feelings. And I think I can recognize that even when it comes to my own preferences or wishes or habits or actions. And I think a lot of people aren't that good at double observing when it comes to those things.
It sounded like you're double deciding from your description.
Maybe.
Yeah. And then you said a profanity word to Ian. I'm just kidding.
I did.
Yeah. Just it's only a profanity to Ian, not everyone else.
Okay.
Ian, go for it, man. You're the last guy here.
I don't think I double observe at all, so I really have nothing to add to this one.
I think I finally have an answer.
Go for it.
So after consuming everything, I remembered where I double observe, and it is with like conspiracy theories and stuff, or like the fear of the unknown. It is scary for like a lot of things, but like when people talk about like ghosts and stuff, and I used to be scared of that stuff as a kid, but I have like information now that makes it like that doesn't bother me. Or yeah, like conspiracy theories, like, okay, whatever, dude, like water's wet, it's not wet, I don't care. Like, but I guess you could say like I lean into like the double deciding part, like you said, or somebody said, to double observe. Like I start to reference like other people, so that helps me to double observe in a way. I kind of like outsource it.
When Tiana said that she doesn't believe in ghosts anymore and stuff, I kind of pictured like someone dressed as a ghost behind her closet just jumping out to freak her out. Just to prove if that's true or not. I'm just playing. Who has the next question next for the EP panel? Who has the next question?
Hello.
Yeah, go for it, Jacob.
All right, so
there's the dog. I knew it. Okay, how about someone jump in first of all, Jacob? Oh, there we go. Jacob's back. All right. What's your question?
Sorry
Jacob?
again. All right. So my question is, don't control me, bro. What's it called? So you have all of us here and we're all double deciders. But half of us are plays and half of us are consumes. Me personally, I never thought I have a problem with the tribe controlling me. I'm double feminine. I just go with the flow of everything. My schedule for the weekend is packed with like social activities that I didn't plan. It just kind of falls into place. And I love clearing up my schedule. Like an empty schedule means absolute freedom to do anything. And I'm happy to play with everybody. And I'm happy that the schedule's packed. But now I'm stressed to crunch time. Like even earlier, had a issue with like right before we started this interview, I'm the one with the SI problems, getting my camera working, getting my sound working. Just, I'm channel changing. Point being, don't control me, bro. For me specifically, I think it's not being a sleep demon versus the consumers with the blast demon. I feel like it's you don't know me, bro. Like I'm just trying to show the best version of myself or what you guys value. But when you try to like define me, I'm gonna defend myself with, this is my understanding based off of my personality type. Here's the reasons, that's who I am. But I'm not really gonna show you who I am because even I don't want to dig too deep into it. It's sleep demon. So what I'm asking is for you, for everybody, what do you feel is the don't control me with your consume or your play?
The way you mentioned that too, Jacob, about yourself, it sounded like kind of like what Dave and Shannon stuff been talking about, like how ENTPs are weird with labels, So I don't know if that came to play, but since we're talking about this in labels right now, why don't we go with Jake first to answer your question?
Yeah, so I can definitely relate with basically the don't control me, bro thing really didn't resonate with me that much before I got typed, which is kind of why I thought I was an IJ, because I thought I was planning all the time and that I was basically wanting to control things. But also I think with us, it might, FE might have a lot to do with essentially that, because I am like selfish with my time. Like I don't want people to come to me last minute and be like, oh, we need you to do this, 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 and this. Then I feel like I'm being controlled and want to strangle somebody. But as far as like, oh, we're going on like a bachelor party or I'm getting married or something like that, I'm always fine with FE. Oh, let's do this because it's essentially culturally what we're supposed to do. And as far as like maintaining friendship relationships and stuff, it's good, which is why I thought it was feminine FE going into it too, because yeah, I feel like I'm kind of very manipulated by the tribe, even as a masculine FE. So I don't even know how much that can affect like feminine FE people. So I'd say the being controlled, don't control me, bro, is more of a temporal thing than anything else. It's like I want to control my time. So if you want me to do something, it's fine, but you have to give me enough time to do it. If you like knock on my door, say, oh, let's go do this thing, like I'll throw a shot put at your head and tell you to go away.
That's so masculine, SI, with a shot put in the head. Let's go with Ian. So Ian is the one that controlled all of us with the vocabulary. I'm just making fun of you, man. It's just, but anyways, how do you don't control me, bro? Man?
So it's, I really don't know how to put like words to it, but it's like sometimes it really is like a feeling. Like sometimes there can be control in the sense of, you know, you're like just cramping my ability to move, like my time. But a lot of times if somebody like what Jacob was saying, if like a lot of my schedule is imposed by other people and I kind of just move with it and I'm fine. And even if someone like takes, I'll find ways to kind of do what I want to do within that time. Like, you know, my sister, her husband died, right? So now we have to go up to New York the next 2 days. And it's like, I'm going to still do what I need to do, but I'm going to support her. Fine. But when there's things that like where it feels like I can't move and it's out of my control, then it becomes a problem, especially when it comes to the identity, like what Jacob was saying, like, you know, where you try to define who I am, that's where most of the problems come in. You know, I'll move with people, I'll move with schedules and things like that, but to try to like pin me down on something that I'm not, it becomes more of a problem. So in the sense that double feminine is truly moving with the tribe and with things as they change, but where I draw the line is where you just try to pin me down on identity.
It sounds like with the blast laughter, it sounds more prominent with like the don't control me bro stuff happening. Because like I have savior blast. I don't know if Jany can relate to this, but like if someone tries to control me, I can fight back. Like I usually just go there and like fight them. Like I'll be in the back room with my boss, and then we'll just fight. You know, we'll just fight, and then he doesn't control me anymore after the fight is over. So for me, it's more like the SI, like the paperwork, like the government having a surprise paperwork in my face, trying to control me with this like document I have to fill out. Like that is like the worst. That is my don't control me bro. Maybe like the ENTPs and ENFPs can relate to this. So does Jany want to answer this, or maybe Annie? You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So when I first got introduced to OP and I thought like, was I a don't control me bro person? I was like, no, nobody's trying to control me. Because my mom wasn't controlling and I never got into trouble. So I never felt controlled by her. And I've always been self-employed. And so I wasn't, you know, controlled. And then I thought, oh, I've always been self-employed by choice, because the few times when I have had jobs, I thought certain things were really stupid. Like, first of all, the reason I'd rather be self-employed is because they're doing it wrong. It's like this, you're SITE doing it wrong. This is not how I would do it. So I want to be in control of all those aspects. And certain things like dress codes, I just think is so insulting. Like, I am a grown up, I'm wearing shoes, I'm wearing a shirt, I'm appropriate. I cannot believe you're going to micromanage this. It's just so insulting. So that is because when I have worked at a place, or just even in my town, I have this great sense of stewardship. Like, wherever I work, I'm going to take care of it. Even if it's not my job, I'm going to polish the mirror. I've worked in spas when I've worked in places. I'm going to polish the mirror if there's a smudge on it, because I have a sense of stewardship. So you don't need to micromanage me or, you know, tell me what to do, because I'm being responsible. But then I do have big, like, don't control me energy with certain government organizations if they're trying to control me, but they're doing it wrong. Like the board of the licensing board for Oregon massage. It's like, if you are gonna try to control me and hijack my license, you need to get your system straight and do it correctly. You know, it's just, or like if you're trying to pay your taxes, but the IRS system is all messed up and just not working. It's like, if you want to control me, like, get your stuff together, you know, that kind of thing.
All right, Jany.
Yeah, so unlike Annie, I actually had a really controlling mother. So I was really triggered as a child. But I think for me, and I agree with you, Kendrick, I'm able to kind of like vocalize when I feel controlled very easily. But I think like my mom was a part of a cult, like a religious cult growing up. So I was forced into it. I didn't have an option. You know, I grew up with her. And I just had a very big problem, I think, with somebody telling me what I should FI believe and value. That's a huge problem for me. Like, I want to be able to determine what is valuable and important to myself. And I don't like somebody telling me what I should value. So I had a really big issue with the organization, and not so much with them as like an institution, but more so with the way that they would tell you, like, this is how you should view this, and this is how you should feel about this. It just felt very insulting to me. And I did have one of those instances where I kind of just told them, you know, like, you guys it's not okay what you're doing. So, and I ended up leaving as soon as I was 18. I pieced out and I never looked back, you know, and to this day, you know, I feel very, it's very frustrating for me because I look at my mom and she's still very much in it. And, you know, I just wish I could sort of unveil for her, you know, kind of how it is. And in this case, it is very controlling. So, so yeah, I definitely do vocalize my opinion on that often.
It sounded like your bad guy was like the NIFE, you know, like that sounded like the bad guy in your story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tiana?
For don't control me, that really comes out, I guess, like when I'm trying to accomplish something and I go to someone and they tell me no because of this, and I don't understand what they're saying, and like they're trying to get, I feel like they're making me explain myself, or making me blast, or trying to get, like, I think it frustrates me the most when I also can't understand what they're saying. Like, I don't know why they're telling me no, so I have to pull the reasons out of them too. So it's like holding a mirror in front of my face, and I see, like, now I have to tell you my reasons so that I can get the reasons out of you, and we have to solve this problem. And I'm like, why are you telling me no? Just do the thing that I need, so we can get this sorted out and stuff. That's the only thing that I can really think of with, like, don't control me. Either that, or like, this doesn't happen a lot anymore because I don't go to work that much, but when people would tell me to do something at work, which I was already going to do, I already had it in my mind, but now that you've told me to do it, I don't want to do it anymore. That's pretty much all I can think of.
So you're like a contrarian, Tiana. Like, you do the opposite of what a tribe wants. Shane?
Okay, so when I think of control, I come at from an opposite point of view. I don't mind control. For me, knowledge is power, and a form of control is not giving me clarity and direction when you require a task from me. So, you know, like a teacher at school who says, well, write the paper on anything, you know, and then if you don't get an A, it's like, well, you should have did A, B, and C. It's like, well, you didn't say that. And so, you know, or at work, chaos, you know, like, oh, just do whatever, just be productive. It's like, I need steps, I need direction, I need structure. If you're just telling me whatever, take your lunch, whatever time, work harder, then take it easy, I don't like that. That it sounds like freedom, but to me, more structure is more freedom, because then I don't have to think about it. I can just do what I'm supposed to do, get it done, and feel good about it afterwards. When there's lack of clarity, lack of direction, lack of control, that's when I feel almost controlled with chaos. And I just hate chaos. Chaos imposes itself on me like a tornado, and I don't like that. And someone can say, well, it's free, whatever, you know, like, no, I don't want that. To me, that's controlling, because then it takes all my attention to focus on putting an end to that. And now I'm being controlled by that. So that's the way I would approach the don't control me, bro. It's, I don't want your surprises. I don't want unclarity. If you tell me we have to shovel dog feces all day from 8 in the morning till 8 at night, just give me a shovel and work hard beside me and I'm good with it. But don't tell me we're doing one thing and then, hey, guess what? No, forget about that. We're doing this now. And hey, we're going over to this place for lunch, you know, come join us. Oh, by the way, can you drive? And it's like, no. That's how I come out on it.
So Shane, it sounds like you want ST clarity, and what triggers you is like the NF, like NF play. So maybe Jacob would trigger you, or like the ENFPs, like NEFIs, you know, like the very like vague, you know, non.
You know, when I was listening to Jake talk about how he likes to work, I would work, I think, well with him as a boss. He could figure out those systems and let me put those into use. You know, he could be the rigger and I'll be the trigger. You know what I mean? Like, he could say, here's the system I created. It's designed to do A, B, C, and D, get it done. And he hands me the files, I'll go get it done. You know, I know what I'm doing. He could figure out all that chaos and the hows and the whys. I'll just execute the plan. That's, you know, I don't know. That's how I would like it.
Yeah.
Be careful what you wish for.
I can do anything as long as I know what I'm doing. You know, I don't mind if it's paperwork. I don't mind if it's boring. I don't mind if I do have to drive all around and do a bunch of stuff, but I need to know first. You know, I need that ST clarity, like you're saying, Kendrick. If I have that, the what doesn't bother me as long as I have the information.
It makes sense with Jake, because Jake is like NETI, right? So he figured out like the important thing, and then he'll give you the ST after, and then, oh, good, and then you'll just run with it. Who has the next question?
Wait, just to finalize my point.
Yeah, go ahead, Jacob.
At the very beginning of this thing, when Shane was going through his IJ identification explanation thing, and more than anybody else in this group, I was looking at that and I'm like, I really want to NF the hell out of this, like, NE, understand and dig with Shane. Maybe we'll message you after, like, this IJ crisis and the labels and like what systems we're in. I really want to dig into that with him, and maybe I'll trigger him, but I just want to do it. And with the whole don't control me, bro, my original prediction of what's like going on as a variance for us EPs isn't so much the animal stack or the functions themselves, but rather the most important factor is the modalities. If we're like FF, FM, like that. That's it.
As an EP, I would love to see you trigger Shane, Jacob. But anyways, next, who has the next question? Who hasn't asked the question yet? So Ian, Jany, Annie, have you asked a question yet? You
kind of stole my thunder, bro. I was going to say, where do you see yourself as IJ in your life?
Oh, I stole your question.
Yeah, you did, man.
Do you have a second? Okay, well,
FE blame. I'm gonna FE blame you.
All right, I'll take the blame. You put the blame on me, even though the blame's on you. I'm just kidding. It's fun. But Jany, do you have a question?
I do. I guess this is coming from being closer to EJ, but I know that even though we're all double deciders, everybody has decider problems. So I guess my question is, how do you see your decider problems in your life being a double decider? So for me, I I have T and FI in the middle. So I do double decide, but I still do have a lot of people problems. Mostly, I think, because I do have that feminine TE. So I do really move with the tribe a lot. And then eventually, obviously, because I'm not sharing my FI enough, I become a little resentful that people don't know what I want. But obviously they don't know what I want because I'm not sharing it, right? So then that'll backfire, because one day I'll just be like, okay, now I'm pissed, and then I'll just blow up and it'll be really like catastrophic. So I've seen that in myself, and that's really how that's how I've seen a lot of my people problems, I guess, blaming the tribe or feeling like victimized by the tribe for not understanding what if I want, but then not really sharing it early enough to be able to resolve the problem, immediately, versus like waiting for it to get really bad. So that's my question. How do you see your decider problems in your life?
Does anyone want to jump in with that? No one has any decider problems.
I think
That's
I can
me.
go.
Yeah, go ahead.
So for me, I thought I was a decider, but part of that was like because someone else typed me and I just ran with it. But a lot of times I feel like I like offend people, and then I feel really bad about it, and so I start to like spiral and like question whether or not I'm actually a good person. So that's like where my decider problems come out, and then I have to argue with myself and say, no, they probably don't actually care that much. Like, you're making this way bigger deal than it actually is. And yeah, that's what came to my mind.
All right, thanks, Tiana. I got distracted there for a bit because when I was watching Tiana talk, I realized I'm like, oh, Tiana and Jany kind of look similar. Like the ESFPs, kind of like that. So I don't know. Does anyone have so Jacob, your lead play, right? So that's a decider animal. Do you find yourself having people problems, even though you're double feminine on the outside?
So speaking of the ESFPs looking the same, me and Ian are just like doing this the whole entire video. And what I'm gonna say with the whole double decider thing, I think I'm an awesome decider. I think Ian's an awesome decider. I think we don't have decider issues. We have delegating issues. And that's the whole blast thing. Like, if I'm deciding for myself and the tribe, that is balance. It's just a matter of successful delegation, because you don't want to delegate. It's not that you couldn't, well, you can't because you don't want to. And that's the decider issue. But for making choices for yourself and others, it's just balance.
What about Annie? Your play last. So do you have decider problems as a result of that? Because you're gonna be better at double observing as a result of your stack, right?
Yeah. So I don't have decider issues with specific people. You know what I mean? Like, some people seem to have like a lot of drama with like, Jany in the 3rd grade spit in my face and I will never forgive her. Like, I'm not offended specifically by people, but there is a little bit of self and tribe stuff. I'm thinking like, I'm never the most popular, and it's because I'm not playing. I'm not putting in those play energy coins on a regular basis, like a lot of people are. And so I'm just kind of unknown. Like, people don't notice me, or they don't, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. Like, I think I offend some people, or they think I'm aloof. That doesn't really bother me, but it just bothers me where it like contributes to my success or failure. And like one specific thing that I can think of is I was talking to someone in the OPS community who is doing interviews. And I would really like to do interviews because I'm coaching a lot of people, and I want to really understand tidal waves and last animal issues. Just really like own that, because coaching clients come to me and sometimes they have different issues that I'm not familiar with, especially like decider issues. So I was talking to this other person in the community, and she was like, oh yeah, if you just ask people if they want to do that, like, you're going to get a whole list. People are going to want to do that. They're going to want to do interviews. So I asked in the group and I got literally no response. And it's like, oh, well, no one wants to play with me. And so it felt kind of like, it made me feel kind of insecure. It was this weird play last tidal wave. But I think that it's just because I don't play energy consistently. And so people are like, who are you? Like, what? Or they don't like my vibe. So that's the only thing I can think of. But I don't have like specific drama. I don't feel unforgiving. I don't feel offended if somebody like says something to me. I just don't feel personally offended by people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for interviews, she's gonna message people one-on-one. Like, don't think you should like shoot it out to like preserve your energy. It doesn't work that way. You gotta really talk to people one-on-one, like as a human, you know. I'm not saying you don't, but you know. But I can relate to a lot to what Jany said. I'm like, you know, I'm the same animal stack as her, so I have tons of decider problems. I have so much decider problems. Like if you look at the Facebook group, I'm always fighting with people. Like in my actual life, I'm always like, I fight with my boss, I fight with my siblings, my parents, my relatives. I'm fighting with everyone, you know. And then it boils down to, it's really my fault because I don't use my SF sleep, my sleep blast. And you know, I'm like, okay, Kendrick, you first of all, you're pissing people off like at work because you talk too much, right? So you just need to shut up and everything will be chill, right? So that's been working. I've been like talking less at work, which is still a lot because I'm still an extrovert, but it's less. So and then with like the sleep blast, I don't know if Shane can. I mean, Shane's kind of in a strange spot because he's self-above tribe, right? So, but like with sleep, it's like setting hard boundaries. Like that was the biggest one I've learned. Is like, nope, this is my time. I'm not gonna come and cover for your shift at work. I don't care if you have COVID-19. Okay, I'm gonna stay home and I'm gonna eat some yummy food and I'm gonna play some video games and I'm not gonna help you. You know, I'm not gonna say that to them, of course, but that's what I'm thinking in my head, right? And you know, just setting aside time for like myself. And also, if like my friends are being a jerk and my inner self has all this resentment built up, like an EJ would. Well, I'm not a true EJ, you know, like neither is Jany, right? But like when there's sentiment build up, I'll actually talk to them. I'm like, hey, I'll control them, right? With like, you know, the EV become controlling, right? So I'll be like, if you do this one more time, you're out. I will never talk to you again. Okay. Like I made one of my IP friends make me an apology video. Otherwise, he's out. And then and he actually so me and my friends, we excommunicated this one ISTP guy. He looks exactly like one of the people I interviewed. And we made him make an apology video. And he did a great job. He made a rap video and it was fantastic. He was rapping, like, you know, and then we took him back and he hasn't acted up since. You know, he's been communicating. It's great. So so yeah, definitely have more decider problems, but less observer problems. So it's kind of like the balance. I'm gonna ask one last question for you guys, but before I ask the last question, does anyone here have any burning questions to your fellow EPs? Because like we have all the EPs here. So if you have any burning questions, ask them now or forever hold your peace. Okay, there's no burning question. So my last question then is being shamed by, so TE shaming TI and FE shaming FI. So this is a big one. I make fun of TIs a lot, but actually I think TIs are super important. I just do it for fun because like a double decider, chaotic person. So don't think I'm like, you know, crapping on you TI guys. I'm just playing for fun. You guys are super important. There's a time and place for everything. But Jany earlier, when she was talking about her mom and the cult, it sounded like an FE was shaming her FI. You know, it was like a control thing, right? But then also for you guys with TI, there's also going to be a version of that with TE, a TE monster somewhere that's making you, that's like trying to mess up your TI, right? You know, it could be me, I could be that jerk, right? But it could be someone else, right? So I want you guys to talk about that. Like, when has an FE person, if you have FI, shamed your FI and try to like make you adhere to like what society wants you to do or what the tribe values that you don't really believe in? And then for the TIs, you know, clearly you have like a well thought out system, and then this TE jerk comes along and like, you know, just craps on it, and then now you feel insulted and angry. So can you guys talk about that? Who wants to go first? Shane, take it, man.
Yeah. Regardless of what functions we're talking about, and linking our last topic to this one, decider problems, it's when the tribe or the group comes up with certain things that are unexpected for me that I don't want to participate in, that I'm sort of forced to. For instance, like a birthday party, or we're all out to eat and I'm a vegetarian and it's like, come on, dude, just try this. Come on. Hey, everyone, tell Shane to come on. I really don't like that. I don't like FE pressure at all. It happens even at home. If I'm out at Thanksgiving and I brought a book to read, maybe a book on Enneagram or something like that. It's like, what are you doing? What's wrong? Are you okay? It's like, dude, just leave me alone. I'm perfectly happy. I'm in the corner. I'm playing with the kids over here. I'm reading my book. I'm happy. I'm not imposing my values on you. Leave me alone. Let me be. I'm not hurting anyone. I'm not bothering anyone. I bring a book. It doesn't mean I dislike you. Don't make me put the book down and sing a song I don't know. And I don't want to do that. I want to do my own thing. I'm here. Isn't that good enough? I have a big problem with that. So that's a decider problem, I guess. And it's and it's that I think it's of it as FE pressure. That's probably the single biggest problem in my whole life right now. FE pressure. Whether I have FE, whether I don't, wherever it is in my stack, I can't think of a single thing that triggers me and bothers me more than that, is the group trying to make me do something that I don't want to do. And I guess that's also the don't control me bro thing, because it's just always something I didn't plan for. It's like chaos coming at me. Just peer pressure in a quick word. I could have just made those 2 words and left it at that. So there it is.
That's a good one, Shane, because when I did the EJ interview, the ESFJ and ENFJ also said that the FE people also annoyed them with that FE, which is kind of interesting because FE is supposed to be the friendliest function, but even the FE sometimes get annoyed with other FE. So I don't know. I mean, you guys can talk about that too, obviously. Like, Jacob and Ian are lead FEs, right? So
I think masculine FE and feminine FE are like worlds apart. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, I mean, can you elaborate? Because that's interesting.
Well, for like the whole Jany thing with growing up in the church or whatever church this is, and I see she's ST, and we're both double feminine, but she's ST, so she has demon NF, and I'm thinking it's like, did my headphones die? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good, man.
Okay, cool. So with her, you have the demon FI, and it's masculine, and you have people telling you what to believe in, because like, oh, these are your values, and you're like, these aren't my values. But for me, it's like, okay, I'm listening to all these values, but I'm building my truth. I'm not taking the values personally. I'm testing, like NT and TI testing. Is this actually true? Is it true to me? Is it true to reality? Okay, I value it. I believe it. This is what I believe in now. It's my own TI truth. It's not because you guys value it. It's because I TI understand it on my own. And for you, it's not that you like don't understand what they are. It's just you haven't valued it for yourself. You haven't experienced it for yourself. So I think that's where the disconnect is early on, especially for those FI types or demon FIs.
Oh, dude, that was really well explained. Like that's an awesome blast there.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was good, man. That was good. Very impressive. Since you're already talking, can you talk about the TETI, that thing going on?
Well, TETI?
Yeah, so you said that so for Jany, it's the masculine FE that's forcing her to believe in something she doesn't believe in, right? So if like a masculine TE jerk comes in and like makes you do things, and you have masculine TI, right? So it's obviously gonna butt heads. And you work in the medical field, right? You're like a doctor.
I'm a nurse. I work
Okay.
in dialysis. But we have this one person that everyone is stressed shitless. Sorry, I said this. Scared.
Oh, Ian said you were the safe one.
I was the safe one. I'm sorry. Point being, so there's this one masculine TE ESTJ, and everyone's just like terrified. They poop themselves whenever this person just walks in the room because they're so rigid with how things should be, need to be. This is the way. It's the definition of control. And what was the question? I was trying to elaborate masculine TE.
Masculine TE and your masculine TI. So how do you feel offended by that masculine TE?
I don't actually feel offended. I listen to her points and I'm like, they're valid. Because I don't have, I'm savior feminine FB. I'm more of trying to peacemaker everybody. Like, here guys, some of the things she's saying is right, but the way she's emotionally like aggressive is obviously wrong. But listen to the things she has to say because they're actually right. She's just presenting them terribly and forcibly in to control. Like,
oh, I see. So you're picking up the vibe as opposed to.
yeah.
I see. Okay.
Because I'm not a true TI, so maybe ask Jake.
Yeah. Okay, Jake, take it, man.
Yeah, there's so much to say. Is there something specifically you want me to address, Jacob, or just to kind of go on my my rant?
Yeah, just go take it.
Okay, cool, that works. Well, as far as like masculine TE versus like feminine TI, I don't mind that as much because my TI is feminine and I don't mind moving that as much. I mean, honestly, masculine TI annoys my feminine TI more because they're telling me, oh, I believe this, and they have it so tied into their identity that if you prove them wrong, they won't even accept it. They'll just be offended by it. So, so being feminine TI, that it's kind of movable and I really don't get annoyed by that much. But kind of to try to be an EP and kind of go in a different direction with this, it's like masculine FE versus masculine FI has like burned me in like past like romantic relationships. Like where, yeah, there's certain points where I'm kind of FE pushy about stuff. And then out of nowhere, like the masculine FI would be like, oh, I'm not interested anymore. And then just completely like drop out of my life, like absolutely, and be like, whoa, where did that come from? That's not FE cool at all. But I think the main thing that I'm seeing with this is that with feminine TI, I won't fight the logic of it. I'll just make sure if someone's telling me how to do something that they take responsibility for it. But I will fight if you're being rude or if you present something like in a way that offends me, then I'll bite your head off. But you can tell me to do or believe whatever you want, and I'll agree with you as long as you take responsibility for it.
I see that feminine TI is very agreeable then. So since we're using Jany as an example a lot, I don't Jany, did you talk about this already? I mean, you kind of did earlier about your mom, but did this happen to you again where like an FE person tried to like insult your FI or offend your FI?
Yeah, I mean, I think FI, like your feelings are very personal, right? So recently my grandmother passed, and so I've been going through like the stages of grief in my own way, right? So I have a family member who's a lead FE who has been telling me like how I should be processing this, you know, grief, and it's very frustrating for me because to me, you know, your emotions are personal. Like I need the space to be able to process this event in my life in my own way, my own terms. And I don't like the pressure of the FE letting you know, like, this is what everybody is supposed to do. This is how you're supposed to process grief. It's a little insulting because, you know, I want a full autonomy with my emotions. So that's another, I guess, example of, you know, FE pressure. And yeah.
Annie, Tiana, or
yeah. So I remember when I was even very, very young, being aware of FE and annoyed by it. And because I was so young and I didn't, I knew it was annoying, but I thought I was a terrible person. So there's this FE trying to control my emotions. And it would oftentimes be like, come on, little girl, give us a smile, you know? And I would be like, I hate you. Like, you know, don't tell me how to feel. And I don't know if it's kind of like a play last thing too, because a lot of times it would be an adult telling me, participate with the other kids like a kid, you know, do what the other kids are doing. And I'm like, no, I'm okay over here observing, you know, I'm just like doing it my own way. I'm not going to participate the same way that other people are. But yeah, trying to control my emotions. Some etiquette things, like if I'm on the running trail, it's like a busy urban trail. And like, I feel this pressure, like there's an expectation to wave at every single person. Like we're in the city. I understand if you're out on a remote trail, then it's a safety issue and it's more of like a TE thing. Like we make eye contact because I'm doing an out and back. And when I'm coming back, maybe you broke your leg, you know? So it's like, it's a safety thing. Like, hey, I see you. We're both out remotely in the wilderness. But if you're like in the city, I just feel this pressure and I feel awkward. Like I have to, I'm obligated to wave at you, even though I don't want to, because it's like a tribe thing. You're supposed to do that. And I don't want to, because when I'm running, I'm like, this is my reverie time. I'm like in my sleep processing while I'm running. And I don't want to do all that external communicating stuff. So
that sounds like it's more play last, because like I do wave at, when people wave at me, I wave back, and I don't think it's weird or anything. So
yeah, but the FE too, like in certain, I've been in a lot of Zoom meetings, and it's like before the meeting starts, it's like in this one group, it was like, hey everybody, how you doing today? Tell us what you had for lunch, or tell us like your favorite vacation you ever went on. And it's like this, let's do the vibe thing. And I'm like, I really just want to do the meeting. Like, give me the information so we can all leave. And then I feel like, oh, I'm a jerk, you know, like I'm having negative, you're having positive emotions at me violently, and I'm feeling grumpy and negative. So I must be the bad person. Yeah.
Ian, it looks like you have a lot to say after hearing all this stuff.
I mean, even me, I feel like some of that stuff is cheap. You know, it's not necessarily, sometimes it's not even really FE. It could be just like, it could be a TE trying to do that too as well. You know what I mean? It's like, it's their way of trying to like move people or get things. So I don't necessarily, like, especially at work, because work is a lot of stuff is pushed down on people, and people are just doing whatever is being told, or they learn to like be a good boss. And that's not necessarily like coming from a genuine like place of like an FE. Because you know, me, as I know that that's a way to get people involved, but it's also very cheesy, and it's just not something a lot of people want to respond to. So it's like, you know, I would either find something that's more effective or don't do it, because it doesn't work, especially in a corporate environment, because that's not why people are gathered for the most part. But for me, it is TE at work. I have a double masculine TE SI, blast play, consume sleep, like business partner. And he's like the main partner. And he's upholding these old SI systems. Like everything's paper, the technology is minimal. We got these old printers, and he's just trying to keep everything running because he's cheap, right? He's cheap. He doesn't want to spend money on technology and just to make things more efficient. So for me, it's like, you know, I'm not interested in maintaining your old system. So I'm doing things my way. I'll kind of work within your system. So he likes to call me useless, you know, which is the TE, it's the TE shot, right? And it's like, but I know I'm useless in your world, but I'm very effective for this organization and for what I need to do. So it's this struggle of, you know, trying to play along with the rest of the group and you know, and get things done. But then also, okay, this is like the main guy and he has the biggest voice, and it's like just trying to like, you know, do things his way and keep him happy in a sense. So it's like, you know, it's that's where most of the struggle is, because it's like, you know, it's like your system's going away. You don't know it because, you know, he's trying to like ease out, and you know, we're coming up. So I just kind of know like your system's going to be replaced anyway. So I don't feel any need to like entertain you or entertain it. but it is a struggle day to day when, you know, he's kind of looking at me like, well, you don't do it, you don't do this, you don't do that. It's whatever.
Oh, that must be like the biggest hit for TIs to be called useless. That's I mean, everyone would get upset by that, but I think
I don't really, the useless piece isn't as much of a hit. I think it's just like not really like being effective, like in whatever I'm doing, and like I don't need to be useful in his system. I think that's more of like the shot for the TEs is to be called useless, and that's why he's taking that shot.
I see.
You know,
that makes sense. I think the last one's Tiana.
Yeah, I don't know if I can really think of anything right now. As far as feeling shamed by Effie, maybe in my childhood, but I don't really remember it too much.
Yeah, it's okay. Don't worry. I'll just like say my last piece here and then we'll wrap this up. So like, since I'm the NET now, but so for FE, seriously, like that, I mean, I think FE and TE has their time and place. Like if you let TE people like rule the world, then the problem is they also have FI, and people with FI, like they'll rather save like that one person that they love versus like everyone else. So they'll let everyone die, you know, to save like that one person that they love. So from that perspective, you know, FI people, they're not really the best to have in terms of like, you know, humanity purposes. But like, if you want to get things done, like I had this issue with the passport, then you definitely need a TE system. Everyone has to travel soon. Everyone needs a passport. Why are we sticking with this rigid system when, you know, we need to be flexible and do something that works now, not something that works 10 years from now, something that works now. Once that problem is over, then we could go fix it later and have something long-term with the TI. So, you know, I think they both work. And for me, with like FI, even though it's demon, sometimes I want to feel like crap. I want to feel like horrible. Okay. Don't take me out of feeling bad. Like, don't cheer me up. I don't want to get cheered up. I want to feel like crap. Okay. I want to wallow in my pain and sadness for like weeks. Okay. And that's how I want it. So please don't get me out of that funk. All right. All right. So thanks for coming out, guys, and doing the all EP panel interview. And yeah, see you guys around.
Awesome. Yeah, thank Kendrick, and thanks everybody for meeting up. It was super useful.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, gang.
Good to see everyone.